I'll begin by asking you, what is it that brings you to London today?
So we are here under the banner of the Countryside Rally, which we formed probably just about 2 months ago. There were some changes to shooting legislation, what's known as the general licence, and what we're here today is really to unite the countryside. The overall message is around things are being happening. Legislation's being brought into the countryside. Things are happening. It's affecting the countryside, not necessarily positive.
Okay.
So we're here just to basically say, actually, look, this is the countryside. We're a good bunch of people. We're about conservation, and we're really a positive movement.
Amazing. So lots of farmers,
people from the fishing background, hunting, shooting, conservationists as well.
Something that's clear is the disconnect from people in London to the food we consume.
Yes.
Do you see that? Is that one of the reasons you're here?
Very much so, yes. I think there's a massive disconnect between the countryside and city life. And that's one of the reasons we're coming to London, is to actually say, look, hi, we're from the countryside, come and have a chat to us, see what we're about. We are mindful that there is a lot of publicity, a lot of press out there. And we're just here to say, look, we don't want... people have opinions, they're entitled to their opinion. We just want to give them the other side of, people are curious and say, actually, I've read this and I'm not sure.
Sure.
Come chat to us, come into the countryside. We're not how people portray us. We don't all wear red coats and, charge around,
We don't kill everything.
We do care. We do care for the country. We're as much as, we're much about conservation as we are for hunting.
Say if I'm going to eat, say, a steak, what is the process of how that gets to my plate that perhaps I wouldn't be aware of?
So obviously, that animal is reared on a farm. There has been a huge amount of work around reducing antibiotics into farming and better rearing. There is a kind of it's an economic cycle because there's obviously more demand, which quasi encourages more intense farming. But again, a lot of farmers are trying to move away from that. So that animal's reared, it's correctly. People do care. And I know there is a debate about how can you care about an animal and then send it off to be slaughtered.
Sure.
They do care. The animal then goes off to slaughter, humanely. It's then processed and then obviously introduced into the supermarkets, etc.
You use the term humanely. I mean, some people would say there isn't. There isn't a humane way to kill.
Yep.
Do you disagree with that point?
I think the way I look at it is it has to be as quick and as painless as possible. So if we know there's a very quick way of dispatching an animal, it should be used.
So let's say I've got an animal in front of you, but it's a dog. And I say, I'm going to kill this animal as quickly as possible. And I get a gun out, back of the head, pull the trigger. Does anything inside you say that there would be an ethical issue with that?
I think the only question, is why are you killing the dog?
Yes. Okay.
That's the first question that will go through all of our heads as a hunter is, why am I doing this?
If my reason then was to say, I'm going to eat the dog after and I like the way they taste, it gives me pleasure, would you say that was acceptable?
But then you can look into, you've got China and places like that. They eat dog, and they do it religiously, humanely. They go on. You see dogs that are bred specially for meat eating. They go in there, but they slit the throats. They'll whack them over the head. Things like that. So it's some things are done right and some things are done incorrectly.
Would you guys try and stop me from doing that?
If we stood in London, yes, like this, stood here now, yes, of course, because it's not the right place to do it.
So it could cause some harm to the people who watch it.
Good, yeah.
But if we think about the dog's perspective, if I was to do it somewhere else and when no one saw, and I said it gives me pleasure to consume the meat, is it wrong? Are you going to try and stop me?
I think the word you said there is it gives you pleasure, and I think that's the thing is, if you enjoy eating dog meat and it's legal to do that, in that situation, and it's done humanely. We wouldn't stop. But I think there's a lot of other, in this country, I don't think it's illegal to kill dogs in that way.
That wouldn't be our choice, would it? That is not our choice. You're given a hypothetical situation there.
Sure.
So can I just turn something around? You aren't thinking of eating a dog, are you? Just as a matter of interest.
No. But what do you think? There's a moral difference between a dog and a pig? Between hurting one or the other.
You can say yes, because a lot of people in England, they have dogs as pets, don't they?
But for the individual, is there any difference in their capacity to suffer, their will to live?
No, probably not, but it's something we don't take practice in, so I personally couldn't really give you a comment. It's hypothetical. I take where your point. Where is the line? Where is
what I'd like to push you guys a bit harder on,
okay.
a bit deeper question is, can hurting an animal be justified by someone getting pleasure? Is that a good enough reason?
Surely that the conscience of the person
who's doing it.
People who produce meat.
Look at people that go out there and murder people.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
But we'd say that's wrong.
Yes,
well,
it is wrong. So that answers your question. That answers the question that. A lot of people around here, that if you went out and killed a dog and you had it before meat, a lot of people would turn around and say to you, that's wrong.
I understand where you're coming from, but I think if people enjoy eating meat, they enjoy eating meat.
But if I enjoyed harming a human, would that be a good enough reason to harm a human?
Well, that's your personal preference, isn't it?
Would you accept that though? If it was a woman here and I just like slapped her and you said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Do you know how much I enjoyed that?"
No.
Apart from anything, it's against the law.
Sure, but we can't use law as equal to morality because slavery was legal.
Yeah, but we've moved on.
Exactly.
You're coming off of the actual question of what you're asking.
Sorry. Yeah. So if I was to say I enjoy hurting that person, you'd say that's irrelevant. The fact that you get pleasure is irrelevant because you're harming someone.
No, not at all. No.
You're harming someone. Hunting, shooting, fishing. They don't go out to harm.
Yeah.
But it causes harm.
How it depends on what harm of aspects you're looking at. What are you trying to cover, and what are you trying to say in regards to sort of harming. If someone's standing on a peg shooting a pheasant, and that comes towards them, and that's shot outright, and that's killed outright. There's no harm into that. The birds flying.
There's no suffering, but there's the act of killing.
There's the act. Yes, there's the act. Yeah, there is the act of killing. You're right in what you're saying. There is the act of killing there, but there's a lot of things. A lot of things get killed. Don't they? Throughout it.
For sure.
If a human dies, don't they? So it is what it is, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. Do you think there's any necessity in today's world to consume animal products to survive or be healthy?
I do. Yeah. I mean, meat is. There's a debate, but meat is part of our diet. I get. Not everybody wants to, and that's
You're going
fine.
back to the cavemen, aren't you?
But I do.
They survived on meat, and that, didn't they? They went out, and they killed deer, etc., and they survived. They survived off of the land.
I agree, but was that a necessity?
It was a necessity because they needed that to survive, didn't they?
And is it a necessity for me?
That's your decision.
It's your decision. Whether you want to eat
But
meat or not.
whether I need to isn't my decision. It's a fact. Whether I need to or not, right? I either need to or I don't.
No, but it's your choice, isn't it? You've got your standard diet. Do you know what I mean? That's how I've got the size I am, and that's the size that you are. That's the thing. Do you know what I mean? I like my meat. I like my food. You're obviously not as keen on your food as
I love the taste of meat. I love the taste of cheese.
Do you consume
I don't eat meat right now. No.
Yeah. But it's an option. It's an option. Yeah. We live within the law. That's back down to the debate on animals or humans. It's within a law.
I completely get that.
And food is produced because meat is produced because people wish to consume it, as it's their free choice. So who are we to play God on this one, perhaps?
What about the animal's choice?
That's a very deep. That's a very deep conversation. Yeah. I'm not sure one that we could necessarily answer today.
Yeah. But you've got to look. A lot of meat in our country is reared for that purpose.
Absolutely.
At the end of the day, it is for human consumption. The meat is for human consumption.
If I was breeding dogs purely for dog fighting, does that justify the fact that I'm using them for dog fighting?
Well, apart from the fact dog fighting is illegal.
Yeah.
And breeding dogs for fighting is illegal. So I think there's a lot of things that have been outlawed because it's not right.
Yeah.
So that's the way the world goes.
But you agree with me in saying just because something's legal, that doesn't make it moral. Because how many things, women didn't have the right to vote, slavery, this is all legal. And someone could have stood here a few hundred years ago and said, yeah, but it's legal. And we'd want to say, but that's not relevant.
But common sense has prevailed and things like that have been knocked on the head, haven't they?
And time changes.
Absolutely.
But just as regards time moving on, what was your original question, please?
Yeah.
Just remind me.
So I want to talk about...
I've already forgotten.
Yeah, so you mean at the start of the interview? Oh, so I just want to talk about why you're here, and I want to see if I like giving you hypotheticals, and I think it's great to talk. I mean, I don't eat meat, but I think it's really important that we engage and we learn about each other. We don't need to be shouting. We don't need to.
And that's the thing, because what we're here is it's not about everybody eat meat and what we it's about
bringing people close.
It's just giving people both sides of the coin.
Yeah.
And saying look because it's just so that people can make an informed decision.
Absolutely.
About, and I get we're coming from one side of the fence, and there'll be other people saying actually and it's like good one's right and one's wrong, but it's for the general public to sit there and go, okay, I'm now more informed.
Sure.
I've decided to go down this path.
Yeah.
Great, but it's an informed decision.
I think that's the completely right way to go about it. Let people make the informed choice. And that's one of the reasons I stopped eating meat, because I learned about things that I didn't necessarily agree with in the industries.
You probably learned and saw things that you didn't agree with, and you know, there's always a good side and there's always a bad side to what people do, isn't there?
Well,
you know, you probably saw, you know, I mean, we've seen it on TV programs where you get people and they advertise only the bad things, you know, like sheep going into slaughter, pigs going into slaughterhouses, getting hit. Do you know what I mean? Getting kicked, you know, bits and bobs like that. You know,
perhaps there are things that I've heard that are completely wrong. Then, so let me ask you.
The only thing I would say is the police are amassing. We're due to move off in a second, so if we, you know,
wrap
it up, but
sure.
Yeah, I'm just. Then they're gesturing us, so
sure.
We need to get. Yeah, we've got
so,
1 o'clock kick off.
Am I right in saying that in the dairy industry they do separate the baby from the mother?
No.
Yes and no.
Yeah, I mean,
at some point, yes.
That's something, but it's like everything. It's like everything else. It's like human. You know, do you still live with your mum now? Do you still live with your mum and dad? Well, you've been separated from your mum and dad.
But I wanted to.
You wanted to. But there's people that move out. I moved out. I've started my own family. Eventually, you know, we've just had a little baby girl. You know, in years to come, she'll then move out. Do you see what I mean? So,
but we're consenting to moving out. But what's happening to the animals is we take their baby away when they don't want to, right?
Well, no.
Whoa. It's. Were you bottle fed or were you fed on
breastfed?
Breastfed. Yeah. Well, some people bottle feed, don't they? Which is the same sort of thing. The calf,
but they don't get their baby taken away.
The calf will be weaned from mother at a first stage after the fed colostrum, and then reared separately for health and positive reasons, because the cow is essentially there to produce milk. Certain animals, like what we call suckler cows, will stay with their calves.
But we do take them away. I am right in saying that.
Of course there would be, yes.
If they're in the milk, for
in
milking.
the dairy, in short, sure.
But then again, that's because people consume dairy milk and there's a demand.
Absolutely.
So, you know, it is.
It's up to the consumers.
It's up to it's a supply and demand, and in order to, you know, so that's the way the process works.
Yeah.
Is that, you know, and I think that's what DEFRA and everybody else is about, is to, you know, look at that process, and there's an ethical side as to whether it's fair or not. I don't think, you know, today's not really going to be talking about
the ethics.
You know, that side of things. It's more just saying, look, here's the other side to the story.
If you want to come over and have a chat with us, by all means, come over and have a chat with us. You know, we're not here to cause problems.
Do you think that people would be buying the dairy if they knew about the separation of the mother?
Well, yes, because some people that, you know, they still drink milk. Yeah, they still drink milk. You know, people still eat beef. You know, there's a certain amount of people that don't, certain people that do. Do you know what I mean?
We've got a right.
No worries. Thanks for talking to me.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Your name is
Jack.
Jack. Pleased to meet you.
You too. Thanks for talking to me.